Hi, this is Dr. Eric, reminding you to check the link below to get your copy of the PDF that accompanies this Masterclass video. Thanks. Dr. Eric, True North Chiropractic, and today we're going to be talking about what is the chiropractic adjustment. Okay, so the introduction, what is a chiropractic adjustment? A lot of people will start with the crack. You're the crack people. A lot of us have seen YouTube videos in one form or another of somebody receiving a chiropractic adjustment. They typically have the microphone very, very close to the person, whether it's a neck or a mid-back or lower back, and we hear like a lot of pop, 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 pop. The person usually makes a very big facial expression, and they high five or they hug it out or whatever the heck it is. Very sensationalized work that these men and women are doing, but that's not what we're known for in terms of chiropractic care. But that's the most common thing that we're referred to as the crack people, or you're the guy that does the crack thing. Chiropractors, what we do is we practice the art and the science of spinal biomechanics, arthrokinematics, which is the movement of the joints. And we also work with the electrical system of the body, which is your nervous system. The nervous system is the most delicate system we have in the body. It's actually protected by the bone. Obviously, our brain is attached to our spinal cord. We have the skull, and we have all the segmental bones in our body. The analogy that I like to give people when I'm describing the nervous system is I want you to think of it like a light switch with a dimmer. When your nervous system is on and running optimally, that dimmer and that light switch are thrown all the way to the open setting, so 100%, everything is functioning properly at 100%. What the nervous system is in control of is pretty much everything in our body, from cell growth to cell death, repair, regeneration of tissues, which includes muscles and organs, cognitive function, respiration, digestion, elimination, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. What happens when your nervous system is dim or in the off position? So what ends up happening is when your nervous system is not functioning properly, your body's going to start to struggle to do any of those previously mentioned tasks, and it's going to do it in a suboptimal way. Your body's going to be working harder than it needs to, and this is kind of like a cell phone that has a battery that just doesn't hold the charge, and you're using a lot of demands on your phone. You have all the apps open, you're using the GPS, you're running a bunch of apps in the background. The phone is struggling to do everything you want it to do, and it's going to run out of energy, and eventually you're going to have to sit down and plug it in, which is why sometimes when we have aches and pains and strains in our body, we actually need to sit down and rest. That's your body saying, look, here's a bunch of pain. I'm going to make you sit down, so now you're going to sit down. Once your body starts to develop pain, you're going to have a reduced range of motion, you're going to have weakness, your energy levels are going to start to decline, and your body's ability to recover is going to be less optimal as well. And that's even if you get adequate rest, because you're so far below baseline that your body says, we can't even get to the starting line. We're like so far back, we need a bus just to get to the start line. So these are things that happen when the nervous system is struggling a little bit. The chiropractic adjustment. What the chiropractic adjustment is it's technically, it's a skill set that's done by our hands, although sometimes we'll use an instrument assist to either help with the ease of the patient or if it's a particularly tricky area of the body. And what we do is we as chiropractors help to facilitate the nervous system to function more optimally. Think of it like rebooting a computer, right? When the computer's on the fritz, it's glitchy, it's running slow, things are freezing. You turn your computer off, you wait, you turn your computer back on, and then it traditionally runs smooth again. That's essentially what we do as chiropractors as it pertains to the nervous system, and that's delivered by the actual hands-on adjustment itself. The crack that patients hear, and the ones that they're often kind of held to in terms of those words, the crack is the artifact of the adjustment, and what that is it's nitrogen gas being released from the joint. It's pressure that's being taken off the system. Does the chiropractic adjustment hurt? It depends, but typically the answer is no, it does not. The spine is designed to move, and the spine is designed to move well. Chiropractors look for joints that are moving poorly, which are hypomobile joints. And what we want to do is we want to restore motion back into that joint so the whole spine can function as one whole segment as opposed to individual pieces that are stuck. Depending upon how long the area has been stuck for in the body, if there's any sort of muscle guarding, if there's any sort of spasming, if there's any sort of nerve tingling or numbness into those areas, that's what's going to facilitate the how sore the area is going to feel when we work on it. So what we do in our office, we do what we call expectation management. So if I'm working on you and I know that you have a particular area in your body that's super, super stuck, I'm going to say, hey, look, this is probably going to be a little bit tender, and then it's going to feel better. Right? So I adjust them and I say, yeah, doc, that was a little bit sore, but then I have them stand up and move around a little bit, and they'll say, oh, that spasm just let go. Right? So sometimes when I adjust somebody, and even after we've explained it, and they say, hey, my pain is still there, you know, is it going to go away? And what ends up happening is when we facilitate that reboot, the chiropractic adjustment, sometimes your body needs additional time to catch up to the work that we just did, and that's typically expressed as muscle soreness. So if you're someone who has a stiff mid-back, for example, and I adjust you chiropractically and have you get up off the table and you say, I still have a little bit of pain right here in my lower back, I'll say, well, go walk up and down the hallway once or twice, get those muscle tissues functioning and moving, and they'll say, you know what, as I'm starting to walk, that spasm is slowly starting to decrease. So the body just needs to integrate with some of the work that we just did. How do I relax during a chiropractic adjustment? The relaxation part is very, very easy when we're working with patients. Our goal in my office is expectation management. If I sense that you're apprehensive or you're nervous about the chiropractic adjustment, or if you're not, you know, I can tell you're kind of holding back a little bit, I'll say, so now we're going to work on the neck, and I'll feel the muscle tissue stiffen. I'll say, so let's talk about what's going on. And I'll say, well, you know, I saw this YouTube video, or I read this article, and I have some questions and concerns about the neck adjustment. That's fine. We'll talk about it, right? So I don't have to just adjust your neck manually, hands-on. You hear those big crack noises. I'll say to the patient, so it sounds like you're uncomfortable with the neck adjustment. Am I reading that correct? And they'll say, yeah, I'm really nervous. I'll say, so here's what we're going to do. I'll say, let's perform the muscle work first, right? We'll work the muscle tissues a little bit. We'll check the joint ranges of motion. If I find that it's still stuck, we'll talk about what we're going to do next. And that may include a light force instrument assist, or we might just do some gentle traction to the tissues without the actual crack itself. And I'll say, is that something you're willing to do? And the patient will say, sure. Or they'll say, hey, you know what? Let's just do the bare minimum. And I'll say, you got it, right? There's no egos in our office. My goals are your goals. We always make sure that the patient is an active participant in their own care. We don't just do stuff to you in the office, right? The other thing we look at in our office too is we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to facilitate the relaxation of those key areas into the muscle. So if a patient has a super stiff lower back, I might start the treatment with a little bit of ice or a little bit of heat to allow those muscle tissues to calm down before we start working on the patient, right? We want to make sure that you're in as relaxed environment as possible. So I facilitate body positions on the table, whether you're face up or face down, with some of those modalities to help to kind of set the table for where we're going to be heading next. How often do I need to be adjusted? This is a great question that patients ask often because they just don't know. You know, there's an old expression that says, once you see a chiropractor once, you're going to see them for the rest of your life. And that's simply not true. It just depends on what's been going on with your body, how long has it been going on for, how fast you want it to get better, and what are you willing to do to get it to get better faster. So every time we work with a patient, it is patient specific in terms of the care that we render in our office. Nobody gets cookie cutter care in our office because I don't believe that that's the right thing. When we work with acute cases specifically, those are people who you know, had done something and they have this pain that's not going away. We might see them you know, twice a week, right? Because their pain is that bad. If they're incredibly acute, I may see them up to 3 times that week because they're just that far gone that they just need that much more recovery to their body. Or there's somebody who has a job that they just can't take time away from and they have to go at 110%. So basically what we're trying to do is to snuff out a bunch of small fires that keep popping up, kind of like whack-a-mole, right? Once we kind of whack down a couple of those moles or we take one of them away, it becomes a little bit more manageable. So I might see someone a little bit more frequently in the beginning with an acute case, and then we start to scale back our care once their body starts to demonstrate that it's improved healing and they're able to hold the adjustments a little bit longer. After we've kind of helped the patient through those initial phases of acute care, then what we start to do is we start to kind of foundationalize their care. And let's say, well, we've gotten you out of acute care. Now let's help to maintain that base of solid foundation. So that might be a once or twice a week for a couple of weeks as we start to kind of get the body to stabilize a little bit more. Typically during that time, you're still receiving the manual therapy that we do in our office, but you're also getting corrective exercises that are going to kind of help to facilitate and bridge the gap between patient visits. Because again, my goal is not to see you for the rest of your life. What I want you to do is I want you to be able to do the basic home care on yourself, whether that's stretching, whether that's strengthening, whether that's using a foam roller, whether that's using a lacrosse ball. You have all the tools at your availability, ice, heat, all the rest, all of those things that we all know that are good for us. So we help you to kind of build a protocol that's going to suit your lifestyle, so that's going to help with your compliance, so that you're not forever dependent upon me to help to take care of you. So we've talked about patients who require acute care. So now we're going to be talking about patients who need, who come in with kind of chronic-based symptoms. So these are the people that they've always had a bad low back. They've had a bad low back for 30 years, but occasionally they'll have an acute flare-up. So typically these are the people that have already received home care. They've already known about how to use ice appropriately, when to use heat appropriately, when to mobilize the tissues, when to strengthen the tissues. So these are the people that'll come in a couple of times a year, and it could be seasonal, it could be shoveling snow, it could be raking leaves, tending the garden, taking a long family trip, or it could be doing something fluky that they haven't done in a while, such as going a long hike. Sometimes we'll work with these people and we'll adjust them once or twice, within maybe the span of a week, and they're good. That helps to kind of get them over the hump. They're able to get back on track with their recovery exercises, and then they feel fantastic. Other times what we'll do is, depending upon how significant the pain is, we might kind of cluster a couple of visits more closely together until their body can demonstrate that its ability to kind of hold the adjustment, and then we start to space out those visits, and then we see them on an as-needed basis based upon their pain symptoms. Are my visits corrective, or are they a permanent fix to my problem? This is another great question, because what we're looking to do is we're looking to establish patterns and behaviors that have become lifelong. Everybody knows that soda is bad for them. Everybody knows fast food is bad for them, but we consume them occasionally, and we know that that's not good for us long term. So when we're dealing with someone who says, well, is this going to correct my pain for the rest of my life? Well, what do you do for a living, right? Are you engaging in behaviors that are causing your spine to work harder than it needs to, thus causing the pain to keep happening over and over and over again? Or are there things that we can do to modify your pain so that you can kind of zigzag a little bit? An analogy that I like to give my patients is, if you're a vehicle that just got a tire rotation and an alignment, does it make sense to go drive down the road and hit every single pothole on your way home, and then get back home and call the dealership and say, hey, look, my car's all wobbly again? So the dealership says, all right, bring your car back in. We must have missed something. So they say, wow, the car's banged up out of alignment again. And you say, what'd you do? And they say, I don't know what I did. So you go and get the car fixed, you get the tires redone, you get the alignment redone, and you go and bang and you hit the potholes again. So this happens 2 or 3 times. And then the dealership says, what road are you taking to get home? And you say, oh, I'm taking this road. And they say, that's the one with all the potholes. Don't hit the potholes and you'll be much better off. So we do the same thing with our patients. We never make anybody wrong. We never shame anybody. But what we do is we do a lot of education, right? We don't want you to keep hitting the potholes in life. We want you to change lanes. Yes, sometimes you will hit those potholes, but we want you to kind of like graze the pothole as opposed to kind of like jump right into the pothole. And we want you to make long-term health choices. We want you to make the best choices for you and for your body. And what we want to do is we want to make sure that you're able to kind of navigate the world around you, and then give us a call when you need us, because we've taught you the signs and the symptoms to look for. As it pertains to chiropractic care, the responsibility always ends with the patient. When you come to our chiropractic office, you get 110% effort from me. We do the manual therapy, we adjust you, we do the corrective exercises. We give you everything possible to put into your toolbox so that you can carry it around for the rest of your life to do what you want to do. That's basically how we leave it. So once we've worked with the patient, we've established their baseline of care, we've improved them, we've got them functioning optimally. I'll say, what would you like to do moving forward? And the patient will say, look, I never want to see you again, because I'm feeling fantastic. I'll call you when I need to. That's perfect. This individual now has the tools to take care of the body if something starts to crop up that's lower level. If the lower level stuff doesn't work, and we've given them exercises to kind of get them to that medium level, and they're able to do that, and that gets them back to feeling pain-free, then they've solved it on their own. If the stuff isn't working and then it starts to creep up a little bit more, that person is likely going to call and say, doc, I did the craziest thing. I need to be seen for a couple of visits because I did X, Y, and Z. We're going to take care of them, of course. For me, myself personally, I get adjusted whenever I feel like I'm not functioning at my best, right? When you're in tune with your body, you know what a good day feels like. You know what a not so good day feels like. So why not choose to feel as good as possible all the time? Sometimes that could be exercising. Sometimes that could be eating a great meal. Sometimes that could be stretching, maybe getting an extra hour of sleep. But when I get adjusted, I know that it helps all of those other things feel even better. So that's why my personal recommendation for people who receive chiropractic care is to make us fit your lifestyle. I want to be on your team in terms of healthcare, so that whenever you have a thing going on, you outsource it to the chiropractor. He or she works on it, gets you feeling better, and then you get to go back to living an awesome lifestyle. So that's what we're all about at True North Chiropractic. So a lot of times patients will ask about maintenance care. So maintenance care is unique in the sense that we're basically maintaining what you have going on. Just like with your car, you're maintaining your car, right? You're getting the oil changes, you're rotating the tires, you're getting the realignment, maybe you get the upholstery cleaned once or twice a year. You're maintaining the integrity of your car. But when we're working with insurance companies do not pay for maintenance care because they say, well, once the person has gotten better, why do they need to keep coming back? Now, we've talked about, feeling better, optimally functioning, when you're feeling your best and doing your best, your body tends to feel the best, but insurance companies don't look at it the same way, so they won't pay for that maintenance care. In our office, we do what we call self-pay, and what I get to do is I get to treat you like a person, not just a piece of plastic with a bunch of numbers on the card. So what ends up happening is when you come to the office, you could come in initially, for example, with neck pain, and then a couple of visits later, you say, I was playing around in golf and my lower back is sore. Can you treat me? Absolutely, I can. Or I might see you initially for lower back case. We solve it. We give you the exercises. You're doing well. 6 months comes down the road, and you need me to work on your neck. And you say, hey, you know what? You fix my lower back. You fix my neck. Can I come in like once a month? Sure you can, right? It's kind of a checkup for the body. Just like when you see your dentist, they see you once or twice a year, to check the integrity of your teeth, and make sure you're not having any cavities. We do the same thing with chiropractic care because we want to be a voice for you to say, here's what I see is going on with your body. And the patient will say, hey, you know what? That left hip was really nagging at me. Do you have any new exercises that I can do to help strengthen those muscle tissues or stretch those muscle tissues? And the answer is always yes. We always leave you with something knowledge-based in your toolbox that we add so that you can continue to move forward and live as you want, as pain-free as often as you want. As call to action. If you or someone else that has chiropractic related questions and they're not sure where to turn to, or they've read a couple of blogs online or a couple of posts, or even watched a couple of YouTube videos and they still have a bunch of questions, they can give us a call. They can also visit my office website, as well as send me an email. I respond to all of my office emails. So if there's a specific question that you can't find an answer to online,